AFC.
AFC. Our second home.
Our second home, man.
Our second home, man. And it's
good to be back.
Good to be back because the news that I bring you folks is that not one but two teams have officially qualified from the AFC region. Let me congratulate them. Japan has qualified. Japan is through to the World Cup.
Japan, baby.
So happy. I think they'll be a great watch at the World Cup. And secondly, today, Iran qualified automatically after drawing against Uzbekistan. Iran is through.
Iran is through.
Congratulations. Big moment. Iran is back at the World Cup. These are two teams that I think have become a routine expectation of what to see from Asia at the World Cup. So congratulations to both of them. But we did have 2 rounds of football happen in Asia. Big, major rounds, as now all these teams sit at 8 games played out of 10. What were the biggest takeaways, my friend?
I mean, let's start with Japan's group. And Japan specifically, 24 goals scored, 2 goals conceded. That's it. A 22-plus goal differential, total domination. And they booked themselves a spot to the World Cup. Here's what's interesting about Japan, though. We said at the beginning of this World Cup campaign that they weren't really going to be tested. Saudi Arabia have completely dipped in form. So have Australia, by the way. You look at the other teams in their group, and they are teams that have never proved themselves at this stage. Bahrain, China, and Indonesia. And so it was almost set for Japan to dominate. We saw the performance a year ago at the AFC Asian Cup, and it was very underwhelming. And I'll be honest, man, even in this group, I've been a little underwhelmed at times with Japan. In the sense that when they do face the tight teams in Australia and Saudi Arabia, they don't really dominate them. It's actually really tight. And if anything, there's been a couple of draws that go Japan's way against these tighter opponents. And my worry is, in 2022, we saw Japan really light up the stage, showcase themselves against Spain, against Germany, and even have a really good knockout stage appearance. They fail miserably at the AFC Asian Cup. And with these tight results against Saudi Arabia and Australia, I'm now worried that when Japan do play against a very good team at the World Cup, they're not going to have what it takes to actually overcome that challenge. And so I just think that this qualification numbers are a little bit misleading when it comes to Japan's actual form. They're a very good side. They're the best in Asia. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I just think Japan aren't any better than they were 3 years ago.
Yeah, here's how I interpret the information. They're getting cocky. I think they're getting cocky. Today, going into the Australian match, they were already qualified through to the World Cup, and we saw half the team get subbed off at halftime, man. Like, they're getting very cocky. I think they've ran themselves this entire tournament as very clearly, knowingly, the best team in Asia, knowing that they're going to get by. From one perspective, I understand that cockiness, the comfort that they have in this region, because they ultimately have that. But I mean, Argentina was qualified going into the Argentina-Brazil game, and they showed out.
Right.
So I understand your criticism.
That's my point.
You have to take advantage of these games, bro. You have to take advantage of competitive matches, no matter who it's against, and go all out. I mean, we jokingly brought up at the beginning of their campaign, do they score over or under 35 goals? It was because they started off with that fire, with that want, that motivation. They're not going to get there in 2 games. They're 11 goals behind now from that mark. And it does worry me because I want good things for this Japanese team. But I do feel that same sentiment, that same anxiety is there because I don't think they're approaching these games the right way with the right mentality that the big major teams in world football do. And that worries me. So all I can say is that, or all I can hope for is that, you know, that cockiness shows itself at the World Cup. And they show us why they were so confident in the group stages of the World Cup qualifiers, why they were so confident they would be able to overcome these big teams. They show us that on the biggest stage. Otherwise, I'm going to look back at this as a sign of what was to come, which was ultimately disappointment if they don't show out at the World Cup. Staying in the same group, I mean, I'll just talk about Australia real quick. Since Popovich came in, they're undefeated.
I think that's the biggest note. It's why I look for coaching changes with the USA, man. Because the quickest way to change is through the coach. And we've seen it work beautifully for Australia. And not only have they been undefeated, I do think they've actually been getting better every single game. I just think the players like Popovic's approach to the game. It's a little bit quicker, not as conservative as it was under the previous coach. There's still a very physical side, but I just see a little bit more flow with this Australian side. And I think with that just comes a bit more confidence with themselves. So I think Australia have really found that rhythm under Popovic. And I think now comfortably, I do see Australia qualifying automatically in that second place spot.
I have confidence in them now. That I think from the Australian perspective, that was a worry with like the first 3 games. They're playing weird football, man.
Yeah.
Weird. Popovich comes in, and I think what I've seen from him so far is a more confident approach of playing football with this Australian team, and it's showing in the results. So I think they're going to qualify automatically, despite only being 3 points above Saudi Arabia. I think Saudi Arabia has been very disappointing this entire run. Australia is going through automatically. Let's talk Indonesia.
Please, man.
Let's talk Indonesia, man. Because they've been a wild ride of emotions ever since we started covering them. Starting off the international window with a loss to Australia, man.
A big one.
A big one.
A big loss, bro. 5-1. 5-1. And immediately, I was thinking coaching change. Because Shin Tae-yong did not deserve to be let go.
Right.
But I said, you know what? It's Australia, who are in great form. Let me see one more game. Let me see one more game under Kluivert at home in Indonesia, hosting a team that you should be able to beat in Bahrain. Let me see that game. And our questions were answered because they dominated Bahrain.
They could have won 2-0, 3-0. Marcelino knew how to square the ball, bro.
I know.
Oh, my God.
I know, man.
If he just squares that ball over, they win this game 2-0, 3-0. Easily, bro, because this was a big game going in. If you're looking at the table, they were tied on points. Bahrain had defeated Indonesia at home after a controversial ending, so Indonesia needed to get those 3 points back. And yeah, I agree. From what I saw today, it was very impressive from Indonesia, ultimately dominating this Bahrain side and showcasing that they were the better team with some great offensive opportunities. And what was the name of the striker, man? Because it wasn't Stroik. It was
bootleg Martin Odegaard. Terhar Ramani, man.
Ramani, man. Yeah, good goal.
Great goal.
Yeah.
Great finish. And he was actually fantastic this entire window for Indonesia. He has really come in for a strike. I think he's the better player. He's been a great addition to this side because now you have Ramani up top, Ferdinand in kind of like a drift secondary position, and then Orat Mangwin as an out-and-out winger. The front 3 of Indonesia, I think, is complete now.
Good, and that's big because we mentioned that their defense is good enough for teams of Bahrain's level.
Yes,
it's good enough. And Justin Hubner, Idzes, Ramadani, they all did great today. Shout out Martin Paez, FC Dallas' very own.
Yes,
but the offense, we've been trying to figure that out. It's been exciting at times, but it hasn't been truly consistent. I still wish they could have finished those opportunities, man, because this game could have been put away.
Yeah.
And they just kept it tight. They kept it tight. But regardless, man, it's 3 major points here. Does it solidify for them progress into the next round in that 4th or 3rd place spot?
Their next match is against China. That's the final. That's a World Cup final for Indonesia. It's in Indonesia as well. If they win that game, I say it's secured 100%. The last game will not matter, no matter what. Even if they draw that game, I actually think they'll have a very good chance to go through. But if China steal this from Indonesia,
they beat them already, man.
It's over. That's the thing. And what's crazy is that China will have big incentive because China have the easiest schedule remaining. If China beat Indonesia, then they play Bahrain to finish.
Right.
And China can beat Bahrain.
They win both games, they're through.
They're through. And Indonesia will be out. So I see Saudi Arabia, for as bad as they've been, I see them finishing in the playoff position. So Indonesia are in a final against China. But, dude, it's crazy that China actually have just as good a chance as Indonesia because Indonesia is losing against Japan in that last match.
That's the problem.
So they're maxed out with the 3 points that they can gain from China. That's it. They're not going to beat Japan. So Indonesia have to beat China. If they do that, though, they're through. They're through the next round.
Is that a big indication of, would it have a big impact on what you think of Kluivert if he beats China here?
Yeah, I think it would have a huge impact. This is a must-win situation for Indonesia. I mean, I don't even think they've ever had a situation like this in their entirety of their nation's existence. the players are going to go through what no other Indonesian player has ever gone through before. This is why
You're making me nervous, bro. You're making me nervous.
This is why you bring in Kluivert, because supposedly he has the experience, right? Which he does.
No.
Does he have it at a coaching level? We're going to see in that match against China.
Indonesians, I already know you guys are watching the video, and I want to know y'all's thoughts. How do you feel about the Indonesian squad? The next 2 games remaining, this is the highest stakes that have ever existed for an Indonesian national team. They have the chance of going to the World Cup, or at least progressing to the next round in Asia. It's there. This is all you could have wanted. Close it out against China, man.
Imagine if China just... Imagine they've been bottom of the table the entire time, and then they just finish the group with 2 wins, and they go through to the next round.
That'd be peak AFC. That would be peak AFC right there.
It really would. It really would.
They got good fans,
bro.
man. They got good fans.
Great fans.
Group B. Let's move on up. Group B. Major takeaways, because it does look, although they haven't qualified automatically yet, it does look like South Korea will top the group. But we did have some action regarding that 2nd and 3rd place spot, with Jordan overtaking Iraq after Iraq lost today to Palestine, who won their first game. Congratulations to them. Scenes for Palestine as they defeat
Big for Palestine.
Iraq 2-1 in the final minutes. And Iraq loses a bad game here that could cost them automatic qualification.
Yeah, and it really costly for Iraq. Jordan, on the other hand, having a great window, beating Palestine and then tying South Korea. So that's the biggest point I want to make here is I think Jordan are in the driver's seat now. Yeah. They're in the driver's seat to take automatic qualification. They play Iraq, not in the next game, but in the last game. Now, here's the thing, though. Iraq have to play South Korea. There's no way Iraq's beating Korea.
Not this version of Iraq, right?
Not this version. So I really do think that last game won't matter. Jordan's through. They just got to win their next game against Oman. Tough, but doable. Jordan win that next game. Iraq lose their next game against Korea. Done. Jordan through with Korea.
I think I'm cool with it, though, because when you look at the performances, I watch these Iraq games always wanting more, man.
Yeah.
I always want more from what I saw, the magic I saw at the Asian Cup. I'm just like, do that again. Showcase that same magic again. They've done enough in 3 matches to get the result, to get the victory. But then 3 draws, man, and then 2 losses today, specifically against Palestine, who I do think is just such a clearly weaker team. They need to handle these type of teams. They couldn't do it. I worry, man. I worry about this Iraq team and what version we would see if they were to automatically qualify at the World Cup. Whereas Jordan, I think, is on just really good pace, really good momentum right now, good form. I love what I'm seeing from them, regardless of the coaching change that happened earlier in the season. Jordan, I think, is deserving of the automatic qualification spot now after 8 games played alongside South Korea. Iraq, I need to see more, and hopefully in these last 2 games they can pick it up.
Hey, Iraq are like Colombia in the sense that they may have peaked at the international tournament, the AFC Asian Cup, because since then it has been a steady but slow decline for Iraq, man. They're still a good team, but you want more. You want more, and you look at their goal differential. 8 goals scored, not a lot, but maybe clinical, but 7 goals conceded. Their whole point was supposed to be that they're very good defensively, and then they hit you out with their striker. But it's not working anymore. So I think the table is very reflective of what the reality is. Jordan's offense overall is better than what Iraq have to give. Now, obviously, it's not over, because Oman can be tricky and Jordan cannot get complacent. If they get complacent, then they're going to see themselves in a final against Iraq on that last match day.
Yeah, I see Oman scheduled to face off against Jordan. They get a result there. They then face off against Palestine.
Yeah.
If you're an Oman fan, the chance is there.
The chance is there. But, and not only Oman, dude, Palestine play Kuwait next. If Palestine win, they would have 9 points.
Wow.
And then they get to play Oman to finish.
They play Oman last, dude. That's crazy.
They maybe not automatically qualify, but they could go to the next round and have a really good chance to qualify for the World Cup. So Palestine's still fighting.
Oh, man.
Palestine's still fighting.
This group is crazy.
This group's crazy.
I love it. Folks, let us know. What do you think will happen in Group B of the AFC region? Because this group is ridiculous.
Very quickly, though, I'm Not excited about Japan. I'm not excited about Korea. I just want to point that out. They do top the group, but almost the exact same analysis I have for Korea is what I had for Japan, man. I think we're not going to see a better Korea from what we saw 3-4 years ago at the World Cup. Now, what's interesting is, on paper, their offense is better than what it was a couple of years ago. Lee Jae-sung going off in the Bundesliga. Lee Kang-in, though he's not playing a lot anymore for PSG, he was still in the system and he still gets minutes. And when he does play for Korea, he's a beast. Obviously, you still have Son Heung-min, a legend of Korea, still spearheading this offense. There's really good players. Their midfield's very fluid. So their offense is better, but their defense is way worse. So it's basically balanced itself out to where they're the exact same team from a result perspective to where they were in 2022. And that Korea in 2022 was feisty, but they couldn't beat a real challenger team. And that's why I'm just also disappointed in Korea, because they had such a good opportunity this cycle to figure out their flaws. They couldn't figure it out, man. Their defense is still so leaky. They've conceded more than double the goals they conceded compared to the 2022 qualification cycle. And I think that's been their biggest problem, is defense. It hasn't gone away. Also, another thing, dude, they've drawn half of their games. They've drawn half of their games. Yeah. If you're an elite team, you shouldn't be drawing half your games, man. So I just think for Korea, like, yes, they're a good team. They're one of the best in Asia. But come time to play against a South American side, a good African side, a good European side, Korea ain't winning.
Lastly, Group A has some headlines here. Obviously, Iran has qualified automatically. You have the story of Uzbekistan, who, although they have not done it automatically yet, I would say it's looking very likely.
Looking very good,
Very, very likely. Qatar and their downfall, their struggles continue.
Qatar's
win-loss. The end of North Korea's footballing experience here.
Yeah.
Falling a little flat ultimately in what was an exciting team at times. And then Kyrgyzstan getting the result against Qatar most recently. UAE right there with 13 points. Some big headlines here, but congrats to Iran. Uzbekistan, though, baby. I think they're going to do it.
I think they're going to do it. And I'm so happy. My biggest worry with Uzbekistan all those games ago when this qualifying campaign started is, can they do it just on a month-to-month basis? And they've proved it. They've proved it, bro. I'm so impressed. They've faced Iran twice. They haven't lost to them. They've drawn them both times. If you consider Iran to be an elite side in Asia, which they are, Uzbekistan's not losing to that team. I think that's huge. And they proved it today, where they were the better team in the first half in Iran. They get the lead early. They hold it. Iran do fight back, but so do Uzbekistan. And it took Iran a lot in the second half to get that equalizing goal to make it 2-2. Uzbekistan is the real deal. It's so good to see. Really interesting situation with Uzbekistan. Their coach Katanec, the Slovenian, he resigned in January due to health problems.
Damn.
So they had to figure out a quick coaching solution. They ended up going with the Olympic coach who is in charge of Uzbekistan in the fall. He takes over Tibor Kapadze, but the unity of this Uzbek side is what's really powerful. It's what really showcases itself when they play. They're such a good team together, and it doesn't matter whether they're playing Iran, UAE, or Qatar. They always compete. I'm so proud of this Uzbek side, man, because they are one draw away from qualifying automatically to the World Cup.
And it's their next game is away at UAE. I love that narrative of stealing a World Cup automatic qualifying spot at your opponent's house, man. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to earn that qualification in that match by defeating UAE. And we will see Uzbekistan in California, bro. We'll see them in Houston. We'll see these boys in New York, bro.
It's insane.
Crazy. They're coming to our home ground, and they're going to ball out because I think they do provide a very exciting story and path for one of these lesser talked about World Cup teams. On the other hand, you got teams like Qatar struggling, man, as they lost 3-1 today to Kyrgyzstan, barely hanging on to that fourth place spot. They will ultimately hang on to it, I believe, But what a concerning sight for the defending Asian Cup champions.
Yeah, I think Qatar are very similar to Saudi Arabia in the sense that it's just so disappointing. You never know what you're going to get result-wise. Qatar themselves can't figure out any sort of consistency between themselves, which is crazy considering that they just won the AFC Asian Cup with the same set of players, the same coaching staff. And now they're in a situation where they're barely in fourth place, man. Barely going to go to the next round. That's the saving grace, though, is that I do think they'll be able to pull off a fourth round appearance. And then from there, maybe they can reset because it's another mini group stage. So it's not all lost for Qatar, but man, it's disappointing considering the heights they reached a year ago.
Am I getting ahead of myself here, though? Because Kyrgyzstan faces off against North Korea and UAE, whereas Qatar faces off against Uzbekistan and Iran.
Yeah, no, well,
is there...
Kyrgyzstan will beat North Korea, so they'll finish with 9 points. Let's say that, right?
Let's say that.
But does Kyrgyzstan beat Uzbekistan?
They play UAE.
Oh, sorry. Does
UAE after they would technically lose to Uzbekistan in my mind.
Right.
A beat down UAE side, I would say.
But I still have UAE better than Kyrgyzstan no matter what.
I'm just saying, like today, red card.
Red card.
Things happen. Obviously, on paper, I think UAE is a better team, but there's that chance. One game you're talking about, 90 minutes where they have that shot, whereas Qatar faces off against Iran and Uzbekistan, who want to continue their great form. Maybe.
I just wish Kyrgyzstan didn't have to play UAE to finish.
I just wish they were better, bro.
Yeah,
because that's the thing,
dude. If they were just a little better,
yeah,
not even that much. If they were just a little better, they would be over Qatar.
Yeah,
that's the frustrating part.
And the North Korea dream ends here, man.
It does. Yeah. I think they had a good first 3 games. After that, it just went downhill from there.
Yes, and in AFC, man, I was looking at the qualifying rounds. It's crazy. There's the following 4th round for the teams that finish in 3rd and 4th. Then I saw from that the top team qualifies automatically or ends up going to a semifinal or something like that, man.
The top team in each group, there's 2 groups after this, qualify automatically. So that means Indonesia can still qualify automatically in the next phase.
But then if you finish 2nd, there's still a playoff.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
If you finish 2nd, you go into a playoff final. The winner of that goes to the Interconfederation
which
playoffs.
is then like 2 more rounds, bro. That's ridiculous what a team like Oman might go through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. They're putting them in a ringer, man.
That's AFC right there.